In a world where most battles are fought outside, the real war is happening inside your head, not against enemies, but against the voice that tells you you're not enough. The one that whispers, stay safe, don't try. What if you fail? That voice, it's not your protector, it's your prison guard. And until you destroy it, you'll keep living small. You'll keep shrinking from the greatness that's already inside you. I didn't become Bruce Lee by listening to that voice. I became Bruce Lee by silencing it and building a new one of discipline, fire, and absolute focus. You want to win in life, you must first win in your mind. Now listen closely, because I'm going to show you 7 powerful lessons that will help you destroy the weak voice in your head and become the master of your fate. Before you can conquer anything, you must first see it clearly, like spotting a flicker in the corner of your eye before an opponent strikes. The weak voice lives in the shadows of your mind, whispering doubts and playing on your fears. It might say, "You'll fail if you try," or "They'll laugh at you when you stumble." Those words aren't truth. They are the parasite that feeds on your insecurity. To defeat it, you must give it a name, a label that separates it from your true self. Call it doubt, the critic, the shadow, or any name that makes you feel its presence distinctly. Imagine you are training in a quiet dojo at dawn. As you attempt a new technique, perhaps a spinning kick, you feel a tightness in your chest and your breath shortens. That's the shadow flickering at the edge of your consciousness, ready to paralyze your body before your mind even understands what's happening. The moment you hear its hiss, you cannot do this. Pause. Take a steady breath and say to yourself, there you are. You're not me. By doing this, you draw a line between who you truly are, a warrior committed to growth, and the critic hiding behind false fear. Naming the weak voice is not a trivial exercise. It is the first step in reclaiming your mind. When you give it a label, you no longer allow it to masquerade as your own thoughts. Instead, you recognize it as an outsider trying to hijack your focus. In my own training, I christened my inner critic the shadow because it always appeared when I was about to push beyond my limits. I watched it dance just beyond my periphery, waiting for me to falter. Each time the shadow whispered, "You will never be fast enough," I would pause, breathe, and remind myself, "You are not me. I am the one who chooses my path." That simple act of recognition, spotting the weak voice and saying its name, shifts the power balance. You move from being a passive victim of fear to becoming an active observer of your thoughts. You create space between intent and impulse so that when the critic roars, you stay calm and see it for what it truly is, a parasite feeding on your self-doubt. Only when you clearly identify and distance yourself from this inner saboteur can you begin to reclaim your focus, build confidence, and sharpen your mind like a blade. Remember, identifying the weak voice is the doorway to mastering your mind. Once you walk through it, fear loses its grip and you step into the arena fully in control of your thoughts. The weak voice in your head survives on deception, on fabrications designed to paralyze you before you've even begun. It will whisper, "You're not good enough. You'll never be strong. You'll embarrass yourself." But these are not facts. They are falsehoods spun from fear. To defeat this inner saboteur, you must arm yourself with truth. Create a mental ledger, a collection of undeniable proof that you are stronger, braver, and more capable than the critic claims. Start by recalling every time you overcame an obstacle, no matter how small. Think back to the moment you lifted a weight you once thought impossible. Remember the first time you delivered a speech and your voice did not tremble. Recall the time you faced disappointment, perhaps a failure or a setback, and refused to give in, pushing forward until you prevailed. In my own training, I remembered the first time I nailed a spinning back kick. My legs were trembling, my heart pounding, yet I pushed past the fear. When my foot struck the target, I felt something awaken inside me, undeniable proof that I could do more than I believed. When the weak voice speaks, "You cannot do this. You will never succeed," hold that ledger in front of it like a mirror. Say, "Look at this. I have done this, and I have done that. I have faced worse." Speak each proof aloud if you must. Let your mind see the weight of your accomplishments. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment with reality. Reality does not lie. When you face doubt and counter it with solid evidence. I lifted that, I spoke in front of thousands, I endured pain to hone my craft. You starve the critic of its ammunition. Another way to build this ledger is by keeping a small journal. Each morning or evening, jot down one victory, completing extra push-ups, mastering a new technique, speaking kindly when anger surged, or simply refusing to give in to a negative thought. Over weeks and months, this journal will become a testament to your resilience. When doubt resurfaces, open those pages and read, "On this day, I pushed myself beyond my limits. On that day, I refused to quit." As you compile proof after proof, the weak voice will find itself on the defensive, unable to argue with facts. In battle, truth is the most powerful sword. When you arm your mind with evidence, the weak voice loses its power to intimidate. Each piece of proof you carry is a brick in the fortress of your confidence. As Bruce Lee said, "Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do." By deliberately gathering and recalling your victories, you apply truth to your mind and render the critic powerless. The next time the weak voice attempts to derail you, you will stand firm, bolstered by the facts of your own strength. Words have power. They shape our thoughts, influence our emotions, and guide our actions. If you repeatedly tell yourself, "I can't," or "I'm not ready," you plant seeds of defeat in your mind. The weak voice thrives when you speak its language. To crush that inner critic, you must learn to speak as a warrior speaks, loud, clear, and unwavering. Begin by identifying the negative phrases you habitually repeat. Maybe in your mind you hear, "I'll never be good enough," "What if I fail?" or "I'm too weak." Notice how these thoughts feel like heavy chains around your wrists. Now, decide to break those chains by intentionally changing your language. Instead of "I can't," say, "I choose to." Replace "I'm afraid" with "I welcome the challenge." When doubt rises, "Maybe I'll embarrass myself," respond immediately. Embarrassment is temporary. Growth is forever. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a precipice, preparing to leap into the unknown. The weak voice shouts, "Stop! You'll fall." If you listen, you freeze. But when you replace that warning with a battle cry, "Forward! I become stronger with each step," you ignite your courage. This shift isn't mere positive thinking. It is a deliberate act of reclaiming your narrative. Each time you speak a phrase of power, you rewire your brain. Over time, your mind learns that the language you use dictates your reality. Let me share a personal example. Early in my training, I would tremble before demonstrating a new technique in front of students. My mind whispered, "You're not ready. You'll look foolish." I recognized that language as poison, so I forced myself to change it. I am ready. My training has prepared me. Watching me will inspire them. Each morning I stood before a mirror and recited that battle cry until my reflection believed it. Gradually, those words replaced fear with confidence. When I stepped into the dojo, I felt the difference. My posture was stronger, my gaze steadier. To practice this for yourself, pick 3 common negative thoughts you hear most often. Write them down on one side of a paper. On the other side, craft a warrior's response. Short, strong, and affirmative. For example, "I'm too tired." "Fatigue is temporary. Victory endures." "I'll never learn this." I grow stronger with every attempt. They'll judge me. Their judgment fuels my determination. Commit these responses to memory. The next time the weak voice threatens to paralyze you, immediately quote your battle cry. Speak it aloud if possible. Let air rush from your lungs as you declare your intent. Feel the shift in your body. Shoulders square, chest open, breath steady. The act of speaking transforms your physiology, signaling to your mind and body that this is not a moment for doubt. Remember, you are not simply replacing one phrase with another. You are forging a new identity. Each battle cry is a brick in the temple of your confidence. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. The weak voice begins to fade because it no longer finds fertile ground in your mind. Where it once whispered, "You can't," it now hears only echoes of your own, "I triumph." So begin today. Monitor your thoughts for negativity. The moment you notice the critic's words, pause, breathe deeply, and unleash your battle cry. Persist until transforming your language becomes second nature. As Bruce Lee reminded us, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Your focus starts with language. Speak as a warrior, and you will become one. Breathing is the bridge between mind and body. When the weak voice strikes, you'll choke. Your heart is racing. Your breath becomes shallow, your chest tightens, and your muscles tense up. In those moments, fear gets a foothold because your body reacts before your mind can intervene. To dismantle that cycle, you must use your breath as a physical anchor, something you can return to when chaos threatens to pull you under. Imagine standing at the edge of a ring, lights blazing overhead, the crowd's roar echoing in your ears. Inside your skull, a storm is raging. What if you miss? What if they laugh? What if you fail? Your muscles knot, your vision narrows. That is exactly when breathing becomes your secret weapon. By intentionally slowing and deepening each inhale and exhale, you signal to your nervous system that you are in control. This physiological shift interrupts the weak voice's attempt to hijack you and reminds your mind and body that you are not at its mercy. Begin with a simple practice. Find a quiet place, perhaps in your bedroom before sunrise or in a quiet corner of the dojo. Stand or sit upright so your spine is straight. Place one hand gently on your abdomen, just below your ribcage. Inhale deeply through your nose, counting to 4 in your mind. Feel your abdomen rise under your hand as your lungs fill with air. Hold that breath for a count of 2, just long enough to feel the stillness inside. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, feeling your abdomen draw inward. Notice how each exhale carries away tension. Repeat this cycle 10 times. As you do, focus solely on the rise and fall of your abdomen. If your mind wanders, "I'm not doing it right. This is boring," gently return your attention to the rhythm of breath. Over time, this practice becomes an anchor. The next time the weak voice creeps in, perhaps you're walking onto a stage about to face criticism or stepping into a competition, pause. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. As you breathe, visualize the doubt leaving your body with each out-breath. Feel your mind clear as if a gust of wind has swept through a cluttered room. Your heart rate lowers, your muscles unclench, and you reclaim your presence. The weak voice loses its volume because it can't compete with the calm you create. In my own journey, I recall standing before a row of students for the first time, ready to demonstrate a high-flying kick. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought they might hear it. The weak voice screamed, "They will see your fear. You're not ready." I stopped, closed my eyes, and breathed. In 4 seconds, my body relaxed. In 6 seconds, my doubt loosened. When I opened my eyes, my vision widened. I saw the students waiting with respectful silence. That moment of controlled breathing gave me the clarity to execute the technique perfectly. Because my breath was grounded, my mind followed suit.
Beyond formal practice, integrate this breathing anchor into daily life. Before a difficult conversation, whether a disagreement with a friend or delivering critical feedback, take a moment to breathe deeply. In traffic, when frustration flares, inhale and exhale with intention before honking. During exam preparation, pause between questions to settle your nerves. The more you practice, the faster your body learns. Tight chest equals breathe. Racing mind equals breathe. Weak voice rising equals breathe. Eventually, this response becomes automatic. Even if the whisper of doubt arrives unannounced, your breath counters it instantly, pulling you back to center.
Breathing also serves as a constant reminder that you are alive and capable. Each inhale brings fresh energy. Each exhale releases what no longer serves you: fear, doubt, frustration. With every breath, you reinforce the truth. You are in command of your body and therefore your mind. Bruce Lee said, "Be water, my friend." Water adapts, flows, and maintains its core even when faced with obstacles. Similarly, your breath allows you to flow through fear rather than be drowned by it. To deepen this practice, try pairing breath control with movement. In the dojo, as you shift weight from one foot to another, sync your inhalations with expansion, lifting a knee or raising your arms, and your exhalations with contraction, landing a foot or lowering your arms. This integration of breath and motion sharpens your awareness. When your body moves in harmony with your breath, the weak voice finds no space to speak. You become fully present in each technique, each block, each strike. Remember, mastering breathing is not a one-time lesson. It is a lifelong discipline. The moment you believe you've learned enough, you give the weak voice an opening to return. Instead, approach your breath each day with curiosity. Explore how it changes when you are tired, stressed, or elated. Notice how lengthening your exhale by even 1 second can transform a moment of panic into calm. Celebrate small victories. A moment of clear focus in a heated argument, a flawlessly executed move under pressure, or simply settling your mind when anxiety threatened. Controlling your breathing is about reclaiming ownership of your body and mind. It is a reminder that no matter how loud the world or the weak voice becomes, you always have the power to return to calm, to clarity, and to strength. When doubt tries to dominate, let your breath be the anchor that holds you fast. With each steady inhale and exhale, you master your body, and the weak voice in your head falls silent. Habits are the invisible architecture of your daily life, built quietly, day after day, until they form the foundation upon which your mind stands. The weak voice loves chaos and inconsistency. It preys on moments when your resolve falters, when "I'll start tomorrow" creeps into your thoughts, or when "one day off won't matter" becomes a slippery slope. To silence that inner critic, you must forge habits so strong that even on your worst days, they propel you forward. Discipline isn't punishment. It is the scaffolding that holds your willpower in place long enough for transformation to take root. First, understand that unbreakable habits begin small. You do not start by trying to overhaul your entire life in one morning. Instead, choose one simple action, something so easy that it barely registers as work. For example, decide to do just 5 push-ups as soon as you wake. That's it. At first, 5 push-ups may feel trivial, but what matters is consistency. I recall my own routine. In the beginning, I committed to performing 50 sit-ups every day before breakfast, no matter how little sleep I had or how cold the dojo floor felt beneath my back. Some mornings my muscles trembled with fatigue, and every fiber of my being urged me to quit. Yet I reminded myself, this one act, repeated without exception, makes me the person who never quits. Over time, 50 sit-ups became as automatic as breathing. When your body moves through a habit without questioning, your mind absorbs the lesson. I am disciplined. Next, anchor new habits to existing routines. If you already have a morning ritual, making tea, brushing your teeth, or stretching, Attach your new habit immediately afterward. For instance, if you make tea every morning, place your workout clothes beside the kettle. As the kettle whistles, you're dressed and ready to knock out those 5 push-ups. This technique, known as habit stacking, prevents decision fatigue. Your mind no longer debates whether to train. It simply flows from one action to the next. I personally stacked my reading habit onto my post-training cool down. After completing a set of martial arts drills, I'd immediately grab a book, never allowing myself to sit down or turn on my phone until I'd read at least a single paragraph. That way, on days I felt unmotivated, the momentum from training carried me into reading. Habit stacking creates a domino effect. One small success leads to another, and suddenly, your entire day aligns with purpose. Another crucial element is accountability, making your habits less negotiable by sharing them with others or tracking them publicly. In my dojo, I taught my students to write their daily training goals on a whiteboard, visible to everyone. If a student skipped a session, their absence was evident, and they felt the subtle peer pressure to return the next day. You can apply this principle in your own life. Post a note on your refrigerator that lists your daily practice. Share your progress on social media, or join a training group where each member reports in every morning. Accountability transforms a private struggle into a communal effort. When the weak voice whispers, "No one will notice if you skip today," you remember that others expect you to follow through. You are no longer alone in your battle. Your commitment is woven into a network of shared responsibility. Gradually, as small habits become ingrained, you can build upon them. Once you've mastered those 5 push-ups each morning for 2 weeks, increase to 10. When 10 sit-ups feel automatic, add a second exercise, perhaps 20 squats immediately after. The incremental approach ensures you never overwhelm yourself. In my own regimen, I began by memorizing one line of philosophy each day, something about be water. After a month, I was recalling entire passages. That mental exercise did not start as reciting pages from memory. It started line by line. The principle applies to physical, mental, and emotional habits alike. Begin with what seems almost too easy, and let your steady progress widen the gap between your current self and the weak voice. Equally important is designing clear boundaries. Habits cannot thrive in an environment riddled with distractions. If you aim to train at dawn, prepare everything the night before. Lay out your uniform, fill your water bottle, and ensure your training space is uncluttered. The moment you wake, tens of small decisions, from what to wear to where to start, are already resolved. Your mind focuses solely on action. I once stayed at a friend's house while traveling, and his training gear was buried beneath clothes. My mind hesitated. Is this really the place to train? I almost skipped my workout. By contrast, on nights when my gear was neatly arranged, I rolled out of bed without hesitation, hitting each exercise with purpose. Clear boundaries remove friction and leave no room for the weak voice to justify inaction. Finally, celebrate each milestone, however modest, to reinforce your progress. When you complete a week without missing your habit, acknowledge it. Reward yourself with a small treat, a cup of black tea, an extra 10 minutes of relaxation, or simply jotting week 1 complete in your journal. These rewards signal your brain that the habit is valuable. I remember after finishing my first month of daily training, without fail, I treated myself to a brand new training pad. That pad wasn't necessary, but it symbolized my commitment. Each time I saw it, I recalled the discipline that earned it. Rewards need not be extravagant. They simply must align with your values and celebrate your effort. Over weeks, months, and years, these tiny habits coalesce into unbreakable routines. When doubt tries to creep in, you stand on the bedrock of consistency. Your body automatically moves, your mind already expects the action, and your spirit is undeterred by fear. The weak voice falls silent because it can no longer find a foothold in your discipline. As Bruce Lee taught, long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. A single day of fervor means little if you do not return tomorrow. But a habit practiced relentlessly, even at low intensity, shapes your character. You become the person who trains, who reads, who grows day after day, until doubt has nowhere left to hide. Remember that building unbreakable habits is not a destination, but a journey. You will falter occasionally, perhaps missing a day or two. When that happens, resist the urge to surrender. Acknowledge the slip-up, forgive yourself, and recommit immediately. One missed day does not erase the weeks of progress you've built. It is simply a test of your resilience. Get back on track, reinforce your structure, and let discipline drown out doubt once more. In time, your habits become second nature. You wake before dawn, not because you fight the urge to stay in bed, but because training is as natural as the sunrise. Your mind no longer entertains excuses because you have already shown it repeatedly that excuses hold no power over you. The weak voice, once a constant whisper, finds itself drowned beneath the roar of your unwavering discipline. When you make habits non-negotiable, you create a life in which mastery is inevitable. Start small, build steadily, and watch as your daily actions transform the weak voice into a distant memory. Your mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. Long before I ever stepped onto a mat or faced an opponent, I spent hours each day playing the entire fight in my mind, feeling the weight of my body, seeing every movement in perfect detail, and hearing the crowd's hushed anticipation. This practice, known as visualization, transforms possibility into probability. When you see yourself winning before you even begin, your brain begins to lay down neural pathways that guide your body toward that exact outcome. First, find a quiet moment, before sleep or at dawn, when distractions are minimal. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths, letting your body settle. I often sat cross-legged on the floor of my dojo before sunrise, the air cool and still, knowing this was my time to train the mind. In that serene silence, I conjured myself performing perfectly, every punch crisp, every kick snapping like lightning, every step fluid and decisive. You must involve all your senses. Feel the calloused floor under your feet, hear the whoosh of the air as you pivot, taste the sweat on your tongue as adrenaline pulses through your veins. When you visualize in full sensory detail, you trick your nervous system into believing it's experiencing the actual moment. Next, focus on the specific scenario that challenges you most, the moment when the weak voice usually strikes. If it's speaking in public, imagine yourself standing before an audience, heart steady, voice strong. See each face in the crowd, some curious, some doubtful, but none shaking your resolve. Picture yourself beginning to speak, feeling the words flow effortlessly because you have practiced them in your mind. Notice how your shoulders remain relaxed, how your eyes connect with listeners, and how applause swells at the end. By programming your mind to expect this success, you reduce fear's power the instant you step into reality. For athletes or anyone facing a physical challenge, visualize each phase of the movement. Suppose you struggle with executing a high kick under pressure. In your mind's eye, see yourself raising your knee high, maintaining balance on the supporting leg, and extending your foot in a perfect arc. Feel the stretch in your hips as you pivot. Hear the satisfying sound of your foot striking the target. Then imagine yourself landing softly, not stumbling. Your brain, having rehearsed the fight hundreds of times in vivid detail, guides your muscles to repeat that flawless execution when your body is actually moving. The weak voice, accustomed to uncertainty and failure, has no foothold because your mind is already living in victory. Visualization also helps you rehearse handling mistakes. No warrior is flawless. Imagine yourself making a misstep. Maybe your arm drops slightly or your timing is off. In that moment, visualize catching yourself, tensing your core, adjusting your stance, and flowing into the next move without panic. Feel the calm rush back into your body. Picture the audience's surprise as you transform error into opportunity. By practicing recovery in your mind, you remove fear of imperfection. When the real moment arrives and a mistake occurs, your brain recognizes it instantly and shifts into the rehearsed correction. This pre-programming eliminates hesitation and keeps the weak voice silent. To deepen this practice, pair visualization with brief but intense physical reps. After you imagine a perfect spinning kick 10 times in your mind, stand and perform 3 slow-motion reps, matching each detail you visualized: the chamber of the knee, the pivot of the foot, the snap of the hip. Feel the muscle memory solidify. Studies show that mental rehearsal combined with physical practice creates stronger neural connections than physical practice alone. I discovered that my fastest improvements came when I visualized for 5 minutes and then executed slowly for 15 minutes. Treat visualization as sacred training time. Guard it against distractions. Turn off your phone, dim the lights, and let your mind wander only through the scenario you create. Make it as real as possible. Imagine the temperature, the smell of sweat, even the taste of victory. If you stumble into negative thoughts, what if I can't remember? Or what if they laugh? Pause, breathe deeply, and gently return to the scene of success. Every time you bring your focus back, you strengthen your ability to control your mind. Over weeks of daily practice, you will find that when you face the actual challenge, the scenario you lived over and over in your mind unfolds almost automatically, leaving no space for doubt. Remember, visualization is not wishful thinking. It is precise mental engineering. By programming your mind for success, architecting each detail of your triumph, you force every fiber of your being to respond accordingly when the real battle begins. The weak voice, the shadow of fear, cannot prevail against a mind that is already living in victory. So close your eyes, paint the most vivid picture of you mastering your challenge, and watch as your subconscious builds a bridge between imagination and reality. Victory, once only imagined, becomes inevitable. Your environment shapes your mind more than you realize. If you spend your time around people who belittle your ambitions, doubt your dreams, or settle for excuses, their weakness becomes contagious, seeping into your thoughts until the weak voice in your head finds allies. To destroy that critic, build your inner circle of warriors, those who demand excellence, speak truth with compassion, and refuse to accept anything less than your best. First, recognize that negativity is as contagious as laughter. If you share a space with someone who constantly complains, "This is impossible, you'll never make it. Why bother trying?" You begin to adopt their mindset, whether you notice it or not. Their words become the doubtful whispers in your own mind. I learned this during my early teaching days. When I trained with students who believed they could never master a technique, I noticed my own confidence dipping. Their hesitation, their self-imposed limits crept into my thoughts until I had to make a conscious decision to step away from those patterns. To cultivate a warrior circle, start by auditing your relationships. List the 5 people you spend the most time with: family members, friends, co-workers, mentors. Next to each name, jot down the tone of your interactions. Do they uplift you with encouragement, challenge you to improve, and celebrate your victories? Or do they drain your energy with constant criticism, gossip, or excuses? For each person whose influence leans negative, create mental distance. That doesn't necessarily mean cutting them out of your life entirely, but rather limiting discussions about your goals and minimizing time spent in draining environments. Conversely, seek out individuals who embody the qualities you wish to develop. These might be seasoned athletes, disciplined professionals, or simply friends who have proven their loyalty by supporting your growth. I remember the first time I invited a fellow martial artist, someone I respected deeply, to spar with me regularly. His presence in the dojo changed everything. When he pushed me beyond my limits, I felt the weak voice surrender. I no longer had to fight alone. His praise was genuine and his critiques were honest, never cruel, but never soft. In that dynamic, I saw my blind spots and learned to correct them. Over time, my progress soared because I was no longer isolated. I was guided by a peer who demanded my best. Accountability is the cornerstone of this warrior circle. When you commit to someone, I will practice my forms 5 days a week, or I will complete my manuscript by this date, and they expect you to follow through, you awaken a sense of responsibility that silences doubt. The next time the weak voice whispers, "You can skip today," you remember that your circle is watching. They will ask, "Did you follow through?" That simple expectation is powerful. It transforms a private battle with discouragement into a shared pursuit of growth. In my dojo, accountability took the form of a pledge board where each student listed their weekly training goals. On Monday, they wrote, "Master spin kick, increase endurance, meditate daily." By Sunday, anyone who hadn't fulfilled their promise had to face not only their own disappointment, but also the gentle but firm question, "What stopped you?" That question carried more weight than any inner critic could muster. A warrior circle also means celebrating wins together. When you accomplish something, even a small milestone like finishing a challenging chapter or improving your flexibility, share it with your circle. Let them cheer you and return the favor by celebrating their successes. Celebration creates a positive feedback loop that drowns out negativity. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you focus on progress, no matter how incremental. I recall the exhilaration I felt when my partner and I finally executed a seamless sequence of drills. We pounded the mats together in triumph. In that moment, the weak voice had no stage to speak. Our collective victory was too loud. Choosing the right circle sometimes means letting go of relationships that once served you but no longer align with your growth. This can be painful. Friends and family may resist your change. They might say, "We miss the old you," or "Why are you so distant?" Understand that this discomfort originates from their own fear of change. When you rise, not everyone can follow. That does not make them enemies. It simply means your paths have diverged. Offer gratitude for what they gave you, but do not let their inability to support your current journey hold you back. The weak voice will point to guilt. You're abandoning them. You're selfish, but you know the truth. You are honoring your potential. To reinforce this step, organize regular gatherings, whether it's a weekly training session, a monthly mastermind group, or even a simple accountability call. Create structured time where each member reports progress, shares challenges, and receives constructive feedback. In my own life, I initiated a Saturday morning warrior circle meeting. For 1 hour, we discussed our goals, our setbacks, and our strategies. Sometimes we sparred physically, other times we sparred intellectually over mindset strategies. Either way, we emerged from that hour sharper, clearer, and more determined. The collective energy of like-minded warriors amplified our individual willpower, leaving no room for the weak voice to hide. Adopt the mindset that you are both a warrior and a leader. As you build your circle, you also become responsible for its quality. Challenge yourself to be as supportive and direct as the mentors you seek. Speak truth with kindness and push others to their best. When you hold your circle to high standards, no excuses, no shortcuts, you reinforce those same standards within yourself. If someone hesitates, ask, "What's holding you back?" And then ask again, "What will you do now?" These questions train both you and your circle to reject complacency. Surrounding yourself with warriors is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. You will recruit new allies, release old patterns, and adapt as your goals evolve. But each step you take to refine your circle strengthens your resolve. The weak voice thrives in isolation, feeding off silent doubts. In a community of warriors, doubt is exposed, challenged, and eradicated. When your environment resonates with discipline, integrity, and mutual respect, you cannot help but rise to meet those standards. In that space, your inner critic loses its voice because every ally around you roars with conviction. You are stronger than doubt. You are worthy of victory. Build that circle, honor your part in it, and watch as the weak voice in your head fades into silence. You have now seen the path. Identify the weak voice, challenge its lies, transform your language, master your breath, build unbreakable habits, visualize victory, and surround yourself with warriors. These 7 lessons are not separate tricks. They are threads woven into the fabric of a single unbreakable mindset. When you practice them consistently, your mind becomes like forged steel, impervious to the whispers of doubt. Remember this, the weak voice lives in shadows. You bring it into the light by naming it and confronting it. It thrives on uncertainty. You starve it with evidence of your strength and the clarity of your words. It seizes control when your body tightens. You wrest that control back with each deliberate breath. It finds fertile ground in inconsistency. You drown it in the daily ritual of unwavering discipline. It cowers when your mind paints success in vivid detail. You send it running by living that vision over and over in your imagination. And it has no allies when your circle demands excellence, refuses excuses, and celebrates every forward step. There will be days when the weak voice returns, louder than before, when tasks seem impossible, when fear grips your chest, when people doubt you. In those moments, revisit these lessons. Remind yourself, I have named you. I see you. I know my victories. I speak as a warrior. I breathe with control. I act with discipline. I walk among warriors. Each reminder is another hammer strike, fracturing the grip of doubt until it shatters completely. You will never win until you master your mind. The day you refuse to let that weak voice speak for you is the day you step into true power. From here on, every choice, every breath, every habit, every vision, and every ally you keep must serve that mastery. This is not a one-time victory. It is a lifetime's pursuit. As Bruce Lee said, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. Take these lessons, make them yours, refine them, and let them guide you to heights you have only dared to imagine. Now stand up, take a deep breath, look inside and see your true self, undeterred, unyielding, unstoppable. The weak voice has no dominion here. It is time to master your mind, to conquer your fears, and to win. Go.